All right, welcome to the Learning to Fly podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and got Carrie again today. Thanks for coming, Carrie.
Of course.
We hope she's here for most of them. She's, like I said, she's busy, and we're all busy, but we hope to have you as much as you're able to come.
Sounds good.
And welcome. We need to name the eagle. I think he needs a name. Not real sure. We're open to that. Email us at learningtofly@learningtofly.com. That's going to be the web. That's going to be what it is. Okay. Anyway, today we are going to talk about the service industry. And this podcast, I'd like to call it Learning to Wait in Line. So roll out the credits. Here we go. So we're obviously, this show's sponsored by Basham Construction.
Wow,
Did you
awesome.
know that?
I did not.
Big sponsor.
Yeah.
Big sponsor. So we do a lot of construction, and I want to talk about the service industry. And that doesn't always mean just construction. The service industry is literally almost everything, really. It could be your waiter. It could be your Amazon guy that brings you packages. It could be your construction guys, your anything that services you, that does a service for you. And why I want to call it learning to wait in line is I'm kind of tired of it, to be honest with you. I'm kind of tired of people just barking at us all the time. We're not going fast enough. We're not going slow enough. It's just never enough. So we're not going to dog on anybody. I think this is more of a podcast that a lot of people will resonate with. And it'll give us all an opportunity to maybe blow off a little bit of steam and then go back to the reality of life and start servicing people again. So, like I said, we're a full in-house construction general contracting company. We do literally everything. Anything small, anything huge, we do it all. And we've got the team to back that up. So we get a lot of, when you do 120 plus projects a year, you're going to have a couple of customers that may be impatient. You know, they want stuff done yesterday. And I think what's really ruined this, it might be my favorite A word, which is Amazon. Okay, you creeps out there. It's not anything weird. Amazon. Jeff Bezos, you'll never listen to this, and that's fine. But hats off to you, man. Hats off to you. I've never in my life seen a company run so smoothly, so efficiently, so flawlessly as Amazon. Holy smokes. Yeah. Like, dude, you did a great job. I love it. I don't know much about you. I don't know anything about you. But that company is rock solid. Now, bring that to construction. You can't put a kitchen remodel in a cart and have it delivered tomorrow, right? We all know that. I know I'm being a little exaggeratory, and this podcast is supposed to be fun. And we're not taking things too serious, but I do want to hammer on this learning to wait in line, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s. That tells you I'm 45, I'm old. And that's all we ever learned, is to wait in line. We had to get up and turn the knob on the TV. We had to slap it to get the picture to come in. My dad sent my 5-year-old butt up the antenna to turn the thing. If he was still alive today, I'd call him right now and tell you that was true. And it was true in the dead of winter. We were born, our generation, she's only 25.
Oh.
I'm 45.
I wish.
It was embedded in us to wait in line.
Yeah.
Like the grocery store, if you were fortunate enough to go to like an amusement park, you always had to wait in line. You know, nowadays, like my father-in-law, he'd always get like the fast passes, and that to me was like so cool. Duncan and I went to when we had the Super Bowl here in Indy. Mm-hmm. I took him to that NFL day. I forget what it's called, and at that time I was like, we never really had enough money to even go, but I said we got enough money to buy a football or these fast passes, and we could do all these little events. So we bought the fast pass.
Makes sense.
But we all learned how to wait in line, right? So we're in construction, and we have, like I said, tons of awesome customers. But Carrie, have you experienced anybody not wanting to wait in line?
Of course.
Okay. So, I mean, this is your time to vent.
Ooh.
When we're riding in the truck, the the words that come out of her mouth. No, I'm kidding. She's
PG.
never said a
PG.
swear word ever. She reminds me of my sister Jessica. She doesn't curse either. So I really have to watch what I say, which is why we don't cuss on this podcast. So don't be the first.
I won't.
Jeff, you already slipped up back there. Just kidding. So, yeah, learning to wait in line. I think this, we're not trying to change the world, but we kind of are. Like what we do in business and in life. I mean, I mentor some people. I'm trying to give back, if I'm being honest. And learning patience is like really hard for me because I'm very impatient.
Yeah.
However, I understand that things take time. Anything worth waiting for takes time. And I feel like we have lost that as a society. And it's thanks to you, Bezos and Amazon.
Agree.
Again, he'll never listen to this, but that is still the best thing that's probably happened to us. If we're all, that's improved everyone's lives. Yeah. Love it or hate it, it's improved people's lives. It's provided jobs. It's gotten products to people that, I Christmas shopped, and I don't think I left the couch. I think our next business venture is cardboard consolidation baling. Because all the packages you get, think about this, all that cardboard, there's a ton of it. Because all these packages are coming to us. I think we got to come up. There's a business idea there. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we don't let grass grow under our feet. So I wanted to talk about that because we do have some customers that are anxious to get projects done. Some do have real deadlines though.
Right.
Some people have, let's say, a graduation. Like you got to be done by that is a true deadline.
Yes.
And we will meet and exceed that deadline unless something unforeseen happens. Right. Then you got some customers that just give you a deadline, a random deadline, and that deadline could be birthed in the middle of the project. We've had some deadlines that I'm like, Carrie, did you hear? Because the wonderful thing, why she's with me all the time, is I do have some validation. Like, did I hear that right? Mm-hmm. Vice versa. And I mean, we're not mad about it, but we're like, well, that's a new one. Right. So now we got to kick it in high gear. And thankfully, our whole team, they get it. They will run as hard as they have to for our customers. I mean, there's days we work 6 days a week. Rarely will we do 7. We don't like to work on Sunday, but there's times you have to. But we just try not to do that ever. Weekends are pretty important to us.
Yes.
Downtime's important to us. When you're putting in all that time, and it's stressful. It's just stressful.
Yeah.
So we value that, but yeah, waiting in line. Like kids don't like to wait nowadays. Everything is at their fingertips. This phone here. I mean, you can get anything you want right at your fingertips. So when you're doing a tangible, like construction or, if you're fixing a car. I mean, pick something. It takes time. Anything worth doing right is going to take some time. So that's just something I want everybody to understand and maybe do a self-check and maybe reevaluate things. Now, there are times where you do have to ride people to get something done. But as long as we know about it and we understand why, like we'll work as hard as we can for you. But if people are just pushing to push, that's always it's just hard on everybody. Sometimes it's just unnecessary.
Well, there's a method to our madness,
Yeah.
You have multiple jobs going, so you just can't do one.
Right.
Just focus on one.
Yeah.
You have to kind of weave things. There's an art to it, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like we're not going to just drywall something when there's plumbing and there's a step. Mm-hmm. You nailed it. Yeah, there's a step for everything. And then there's sometimes a storm will go through. And we got to pull off of a job to get somebody's roof to stop leaking, or they had a basement flood or something. Like, just know that as a customer, we could be building you a brand new house, and if there's a storm or something like that, I don't care who it is, we will stop what we're doing to get those people back to running. Yep. That's just how we are. Yeah. And then we'll come back. But it doesn't mean it's going to really slow down the process. Will it cost you a day or two? It would, but put yourself in those people's shoes. If your basement flooded or if your roof got ripped off by the high winds, wouldn't you want us to pull off and fix your stuff? Like that's kind of the mindset we're trying to change. Like let's start thinking of others a little bit more, and let's try to help others a little bit more. I lost both my parents at a very young age, and I'm not sitting here to cry in my beer, but it changed my perspective on everything. And is it worth it? That's what I ask myself. If I'm going to go light somebody up, which you've seen me do,
Yeah.
I fired people on the spot. She's seen it too. That was worth it. But I ask myself every time, like before I just like lay down the hammer, like, is this worth it? And a lot of times it's not. A lot of times I got to go through that self-check. My mom raised me differently than most. I mean, she made me go to work at 7 years old, like buy my own clothes, all these things. Forever grateful for it. Couldn't do that today. Could not do that today. But I look back at those lessons that she taught me, and my dad too, and my step-parents too. I mean, I've had a lot of people help raise me. And I just go through all those lessons. I'm like, man, is this really worth like just honking everybody off? Is this really worth me making, whoever's working for us work on Saturday and Sunday? Is it worth that? And a lot of times it's not.
Right.
So it's just resetting that perspective of just everyone like, hey, let's take a step back, because guess what? I don't know anybody outside of one dude that ever made it out of here alive. Not one. Not one freaking person will ever make it out of here alive or with taking anything with them. So that being said, you really got to put things in perspective and say, is this worth it? And a lot of times it's just not. Right. It's just not. So, we got to value people and value what they do for us. And again, and understand that we're people, because nobody's perfect. I mean, far from it. So that whole concept of waiting in line has just been hammered to me the last 2 and 3 weeks. I think I brought it up to you. Like, people just need to realize that you got to wait.
Yeah.
And in the construction industry, there's a ton of pickup truck carpenters. There's a ton of businesses that just pop up. Realtors, look at real estate. And I've got a ton of friends in real estate. They will probably echo the same thing. When it's hot, everybody becomes a realtor. When construction's hot, everybody becomes a general contractor. When it gets hard, guess what happens? About 65 to 70% of them go do something else. So you need to really value the people that are here for the long haul, the people that care, and the people that get it is probably the biggest thing that you need to, because if you honk us all off, then you're on your own. Yeah. I mean, that kind of sucks when you're on your own and you have nobody to fall back on. I'm on my own. It just is, it's part of it. So I don't want that for anybody. Like, I don't want anybody to feel that way. And that's why we do these podcasts, to try to kind of reset some of the tone and the reasons why we do what we do. Are you going to have to wait for a really, really good product? Absolutely. Yeah. I'd rather have you mad at me because we took an extra week to make it right versus rushing through it. And you're like, man, I wish you would have slowed down. I wish you would have rushed through this. Like, we won't do that. Like, we can't do that. Our reputation is too important to us to let that happen. So, I don't know. Do you have any feedback or any thoughts on that to add?
On just waiting in line in general?
Yeah.
Just knowing, like, that we care about what we're doing and we're never going to, like, leave. So, like if you have to wait, there's a reason. It's not, that's, I guess, like you said, with Amazon and stuff, even I get anxious or think I need things quicker than I do. It's just the nature of today.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like, the service industry and, like, just their people, they're not, there's relationships there and just I don't know, just the importance of doing that.
Yeah, I'm quickly realizing, and you know me pretty well. I mean, you've been with me you've known me for 5 years plus, something like that. But I'm realizing, like, I do want to change the world. I've always wanted to change everything. That's why I got into coaching. My biggest thing was just building confidence in young people and just people in general. Your confidence level when you first started to today is 180 degrees. It's a whole different direction now, which is, to me, is awesome. But I'm quickly realizing I can't change the world. And I know that shocks a lot of people. But what I can change is how I perceive the world and how I handle the world. So, for example, if I have customers or people or whatever that come attack my family, that come attack my team, you've seen it. I think, Jeff, you might have seen it, but that won't go well. Like, I won't stand for anybody berating, picking on my team, my family, my friends. Like, I stand up for those people. And it's not a bully thing. It's not it's unnecessary. And somebody has to do it. Somebody has to stand up and take the stand. It's probably the loneliest thing a guy can do or a girl can do is be a leader on tough things. Because a lot of people, especially this day and age with social media, everybody gets behind a keyboard and they're tough as nails until it's nose to nose. I've got stories. Most of them are hunting stories. I've been nose to nose in the woods with a dude I never met. I wasn't afraid of him, and he might have been a little surprised by that. I will not back down to people. I can't back down to people because the leaders don't back down to people. Doesn't mean I'm not a violent guy. I've never hit anybody in my life, never will. I'm not a fighter, but I will stand up for people. Like, that is one thing. Even in high school, I did it. I mean, I could share stories offline, but people that, like, the popular people that picked on the less popular drove me crazy. When I was 14, 15, 16 years old, again, wish mom was still here. She'd share these stories. I'd get called to the principal's office, and it wasn't for bad things. It was like, hey, man, I appreciate you sticking up for Andy. Because that kid, nobody likes him, and they always pick on him, and you stand up for him. Keep doing that. Those things were leadership qualities that were taught to me. These aren't things that I invented on my own. Sorry about that, Jeff. It's people before me. So don't take me the wrong way like I'm some guy that's got it all figured out. I had a heck of a childhood being grown up in the right environment to be taught how to be a leader. This isn't something you just read a book and now I'm a leader. It's something that you learn, you're born with, and you got to give back. I am absolutely convinced you have got to give it back at least 10% more than it was given to you, which is why I do a lot of things I do. I'll never speak of it. A lot of people know, but I do give back. I give back all the time, and it's because I feel like it's my God-given thing to do. You got to give it back. So back to that waiting in line concept, we got to hit the reset button. We got to put things in perspective, and really, does it matter? I mean, I know of people that's lost loved ones just out of the blue, healthy people. If that doesn't tell you that, hey, is it because your house isn't done in time? Is that really that big a deal? Like, let's just calm down for a second and reevaluate. That's really all I'm trying to say by waiting in line. Because, man, when I was a kid, my best memories were waiting in line, talking to my dad, talking to my cousin. Man, we got another hour. We had wristwatches back then. We didn't have iWatches or whatever. What are they called? Whatever. Basically, an iPad on your wrist. Yeah. We had to figure it out. And now we're in this time where everything is just right here. Oh, my goodness. How old's Al Roker? Oh, let me tell you. Right here it is. He's 570 years old. He's not. I don't know how old he is. But anyway, it's instant gratification all the time. And there is beauty in waiting. There just is. There's beauty in waiting. We'll go back to construction, but every project that we finished up, people at the end, all the heartache goes away. Yeah. It's all gone once it's done. Once the ribbon's cut, it's all that goes away. Mm-hmm. So, it goes back to like that. I share that you got this much energy, whatever's in that cup. Are you going to waste it on complaining? Are you going to waste it on something good and tangible that lifts people up, instead of tearing people down? We're in a society now that the easiest thing to do is tear people down. Why are we doing that? We're all human beings. We're all on this earth together. Some are smarter than others. Some are stronger than others. Some are more attractive than others. Whatever, pick something. But we're all human beings. We all have something to give. Every single person, no matter who's listening to this, has something to give to somebody and to the world, really. You just haven't found it yet. And if you need help with that, call me. My number is on our website. Call me, probably text me first, give me a heads up. If anybody wants coaching on that, man, I'll take the time out to help you. I will. I don't care who you are. It could be my worst enemy. Call me. It's that important to me. It just is. So
I agree. You might not change the world, but I feel like you can change a lot of lives.
Yeah.
Like, and you have that spirit about you. That's just very encouraging to a lot of people.
Yeah, well,
I'm
thank
glad
you.
you're doing this podcast.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah.
The Eagle is too. Anyway, if you guys ever want to send us an email, what's our email again, Jeff? It's,
We'll tell you later.
learningtofly@learningtofly.com. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So, that's really all I wanted to talk to you about that for now. But do you have anything to add before we close this thing out?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, let's learn to wait in line, so to speak, and let's. I guess I'll leave you with this. I'll challenge every single one of you that listens to this. Share this podcast. It takes a second. Put it on your story. Tell a friend. But more importantly, find somebody in your life that means something to you and tell them what you mean to them. It could be a sentence, a text, a quick phone call, a note in the mail. Just do that. Do that once a month, and I guarantee you your life will change. So try that. And let us know how it goes. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.